Hello and welcome to another episode of That Random Model. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry for the discombobulated entrance, but thank you nonetheless for showing up. Today's random model is Testors 172nd F19 Stealth Fighter. This was the fighter that was developed for the U.S. Air Force. It is what became the F-117 Nighthawk fighter. Actually, attack plane is more appropriate. It's not a fighter. It's not something that would intercept other vehicles in the air. Before I cut this open, here's a nice little reminder of where we used to be. $3.99 compared to $10 whole. Wow. That's it's probably back when gas cost 88 cents. And names like Michael J. Fox were more common. But let's get back to our show. Now, if this was the F-19, but it turned into the F-117, what exactly happened? Well, that's a good question. During the development of the F-19, Northrop was developing a large single engine jet fighter off of the F-5 Freedom Fighter. They wanted to call it the Tiger Shark, which they did, but they lobbied very hard to get the F-20 designation because they wanted to have an even number, so the story goes, and not be compared to Russian fighters at the time all had odd numbers. But that I don't know. That could be true. That could be false. But when they jumped over the F-19, they just gave up entirely on that designation and went instead with a 117. Why they went to 117, I have no clue. That's I'm sure is another story for another time. Maybe if I do a 117 build review. Okay, so this is a fighter that we talked about in our MiG-31 Ferret E Russian stealth plane. This is the ship that, or the airplane that Testors got information on and decided to come up with their shortcut to what the new stealth fighter would look like. When they did that, they contacted their sources inside of, I think Lockheed is the one that came up with the 117, and they asked them what does it look like, and so they gave them a rough idea and went from there, maybe even some sketches, but nothing too damning as far as state secrets and stuff. So we are left with this iconic shape. Now, this is a shape that probably many of you are familiar with. It may be because it looks really neat. It may be because it looks like a UFO. Or it may be because this model was the best-selling model, at the very least in the 80s, if not of all time. So this model is a model that you would see very, very commonplace. Now, funny thing is that shortly after the release of this model, this image was used not only in aircraft, video games and toys, but it was also basically the defunct picture that was used for news coverage of when the fighters would crash in the desert. They would show an image of this that was started in 1986. Here's the decal sheet showing you the regular markings, and then what's called a low vis markings, which would be a gray on gray color scheme. Here's the back page. Don't want to cheat. Don't want to jump ahead and find out who did it first. I want to start off with the front page. Nice little introduction to the to the aircraft, as well as painting. I like the 80s Testors kits are fantastic in this regard. They're not only well developed because a lot of them shared either with Italieri or Fujimi, two other really good manufacturers, but they also have very detailed instructions, not only in the painting, but what materials you need, how to prep the parts. These are really good for their material. They even have stats of the what the plane would be like. So how neat is that? And that's true with their car selection offerings of the time as well. Nice little instructions. Going back to the history of the plane, this is something that was basically ubiquitous once this came out with the stealth aircraft. So much so that when they would have images released on the news, senators were actually asking the developer. Wow, I wish I had that information in front of me. I think it was Lockheed. They wanted information of how such top secret plans were available to a toy manufacturer and not to Congress. So how neat that is. And if you look at the shape, the very swoopy curves, the inboard set of wings. Now this is something that's a little bit more commonplace. You see the cross section here. It shows how stealthy the design is. What it does is it removes the idea of radar beams bouncing back off of this, so it provides a lower cross section and scatters the beams out into other directions. That way, it gives back a false reading or a very, very small and reduced reading if anything does go back. So there are the instructions. Now, when built, this 1/72nd scale, which is one of my favorite scales for plane, is not very big. Say it's about 8 inches, 5/16 inches, so 21.1 centimeters for all of you metric people out there. Welcome to the channel. If you are a metric, I don't judge. If you like metric, that's great, but I'm familiar with inches and gross bushels and grosses of things. Some interesting parts as we look through here. Real quick, get back on here. This is the engine intake covers right here. They that would reduce the, you can see it right here, that would reduce the signature that was given off, and then you on the back you would have the exhaust coming out the engine would be shielded so that the heat wouldn't be seen as well from people looking for it. Oh, this is pretty interesting. That's your engines. How cool is that? Your canopy, your bomb stores. Again, probably less of a fighter. Since this is based on an actual aircraft. Your stats are probably going to be very similar from one to the other. You can see how the design is similar. If you asked a person to describe an F-117 in the dark, they'd probably give you the basic explanation. You've got the narrow body and flaring out in the sides, going slightly down, and then the upswept wings. Those are the features found on the F-17, except if I remember right, I guess the F-17 tail actually fans out a little bit. So one of the things I found in the reference is that because this was different than the other plane, I think a lot of the people that were working on this in secret had kind of like a last laugh, or they were pleased with themselves because it actually did look different. So this, again, is a plane that I touched on in the MiG Ferret episode. A very special, not random model episode. Sorry for the noise. And I also discussed how Monogram during the Cold War of stealth technology and nuclear technology, there was a Cold War between the toy manufacturers. This was Monogram's design, and this was Testors. And you can see very similar. They have your front canards. You've got your smooth body, slightly downturned wings, and the cantered end tails. So some creative license was taken in these designs. And then to finish out the trifecta, the Russian MiG, oh, I'm sorry, I kept saying 31, 37. The MiG-37 Ferret E. This was a fun video to do. And you've got the markings. Also an Italieri design, by the way. Also something that Testors came out with. This is one of my first airplane models was of this in 1/48 scale, and I absolutely loved it. I ruined it, but I loved it. It was a beautiful model. Now, that being said, I'd like to turn to a little bit of news right now. Let me put this back out there. I got really nothing else to focus on right now. Something that we don't normally do on the channel is breaking news. Today we have some breaking news. And I am not pleased to announce the death of Marcello Gandini. You might be best familiar with his work. He's a car designer that worked for Bertone in Italy. He is best known for the designs of the Lamborghini Countach, the Alfa Romeo Montreal, Fiat's X19, Lancia Stratos rally car, BMW's first generation 5 Series, and many other cars, including Bugatti's EB110 of the 1990s. If you're familiar with cars on any scale, you probably have seen any of these cars and many other cars that he developed and worked on, including Ferraris, many Lamborghini designs, and this is someone who really infused a love and passion and a beautiful aesthetic into the world of design. And he was actually not only an inspiration for many of you, but also for myself. So it's sad to see the passing of a legend in the automotive design world. So my feelings go out for Gandini's family and those that knew him. He will greatly be missed in the design world. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for coming on and looking around. And if you're enjoying these videos, please let me know what kind of things that you'd like to see in the future. Please let me know what kind of kits that you'd like me to review. Maybe there's something out there that I'm not aware of, which is not very likely, but it happens. I come across things all the time that I haven't heard of, but I'd really like to know what your thoughts are. I'd really like to know what you guys would do with these planes. I've got, of course, I always have a something in mind for these planes. I don't know if I have something in mind for this one right now, but I definitely have something in mind for this one and for the Ferret that will be coming in a later episode, hopefully this year. For all of you that are on the live chat right now, thank you so much for coming on while we're live. One of the things I like to do is to have something, so in case there are questions or comments, we can look at. I've got one comment. I got someone hasn't built this plane in over 30 years. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for being a part of the modeling community. I just love interacting with people on in this community. There's so much love out there. There's so much goodwill. You can always find me on Instagram, That Random Model. You can find me on Facebook and I'm watching all the time when people go on there. Right now, I'm in the middle of a Ferrari build for a contest on Instagram, and we will be I will be posting updates of that soon. One more comment says that there was a GI Joe toy based on these. There was one based on each of these. There was actually a Cobra um, plane that was very similar to this. I believe theirs was called the Night Raven, which came on the on a I think it was a license a licensing deal from Monogram, and then this one was based on a GI Joe plane. I don't know what the name of it is right now. I think it might have been called the Nighthawk. But to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you what it looked like other than generically like that. But what the color scheme was or anything like that. Anyway, thank you again for watching. Thank you again for liking the video. Please comment down below and tell me what you would do with either these videos or what your favorite stealth plane is. We've got a lot more that have come out since then. Of course, the Lightning and the Black Widow. And thank you very much for watching. You have a very good evening, and enjoy the rest of your